motion for bringing the floor and, of course, carrying out one of our core functions, which is oversight. Mr. Speaker, sir, of course, if you look at the totality of the contributions on the floor, it says that this experiment, the Kaduna Airport experiment, has obviously failed. Mr. Speaker, aviation experts will say to you that the three most important things in aviation are safety, safety, safety. Everything else is aesthetics. And Mr. Speaker, when, of course, this motion came to the floor and we were debating the possibility of using the Kaduna Airport, a lot of issues were raised on the floor. The category of the airport, ILS, airfield lighting, the storage on fuel, the turnaround time for aircraft, the infrastructure and the number of people the airport could take, security, baggage handling, etc., etc. And Mr. Speaker, I recall that I made the point, and a lot of my colleagues as well, said that the Kaduna Airport had to be critically looked at because, of course, we recognize the fact that Nigeria is a window, security is an issue, and of course, the safety of the passengers is also an issue. But Mr. Speaker, evidently that wasn't taken into cognizance. And I traveled from Kaduna just 3 days ago. And Mr. Speaker, of course, I wasn't disappointed in the negative. As the minority leader said, it is a construction site. There were rigs trying to dig up boreholes.
Silence, please. Order, honorable members, please.
On a place that is conceived to be the runway. And of course, as the mover of the motion said, you could see fuel tankers fueling the aircraft right where the passengers were trying to move. Mr. Speaker, sir, of course, I've heard a lot of people say that we're trying to encourage all the international airlines to move back to Kaduna. But Mr. Speaker, at the time we landed—
Order, please.
On Azman Air.
Silence, honorable members, please.
The Ethiopian Airways aircraft was landing. And because of the number of passengers that the Ethiopian Airways brought, we had to be moved to the old Hajj terminal because there was just not enough space to take local passengers as well as international passengers. So let's imagine, for the purpose of conversation, that indeed the British Airways was landing, so was Air France, and so on and so forth. It would be an absolute disaster. Mr. Speaker, sir, we sat down there and we went to the Hajj, and there was no carousel. So, of course, when Azman was landing, so was, I think it was Air Peace landing, and all the luggage got mixed up, and it took us, he says 25 minutes, it took us 2 hours to get our luggage and out of the airport. Mr. Speaker, sir, this experiment is one that must obviously be reviewed. In spite, of course, of the infrastructure, Mr. Speaker, also safety. Because when people get on those aircraft and we're unable to pass our luggage through security, Mr. Speaker, sir, God forbid, and I use the terminology that a lot of my colleagues have used, God forbid that we have an on-air security circumstance. So, Mr. Speaker, I would like to lend my voice and urge, again, as Honorable Saleh said, that the Committee on Aviation look into this matter and come up with resolutions that would hopefully assuage the fear and build back the security for which Nigeria has attained. Because Nigeria, of course, has now attained some measure of international security as far as aviation is concerned. And if anything happens at this airport, it will affect our international ratings. So I thank the mover of the motion, and I urge that my colleagues please support the motion. Thank you.